this defense has bailed out their offense before. They force fumbles. They get turnovers, obviously, if they're +9. So this Washington defense is definitely going to have to win the field position battle and force some turnovers. But typical to a David Shaw, Stanford coach team, Stanford's going to have to be careful with this football because Washington's a ball-hawking team. They like to get turnovers. And Stanford's going to have to get creative. They can't have this predictable conservative offense that they've had in some games this year. UCLA, they had to do a few things different to get that going. They're going to have to be very, very tricky. Throw some wrinkles against this Washington defense, who likes to over-pursue at times. Now, look, they're going to bring the blitzes. They're going to bring different packages at Stanford. They're not going to give this offense any breaks. I mean, Stanford's going to earn everything they get. So you say, okay, Jameson, you've listed both things, both keys. So what's actually going to happen? When I look at this game, I look at the quarterback situation. I really like Jake Browning, and I think he's going to be the difference. He missed last year's game, which Stanford won. Stanford's also beaten them 7 out of the last 8 times. He's been sharp, being a sharp leader and exactly the energetic jolt of energy that this Washington Husky offense needed so bad. He is coming off his worst game of the year. This is a Washington team that is ready. They're at home. They are ready. This is a national statement game that they're ready to make. Again, they've lost 7 out of the last 8. This is their moment, their chance. And just like Tennessee did to Florida last week with their opportunity, they were at home. They had the chance to make a big national statement moment, and they did it. Folks, the Chris Peterson era has finally arrived. This is the win this team needs, and I believe they're going to get it. Washington currently sits at a -3, -3.5 right now. The over-under for this game is 44. This isn't going to be, I'll give it to you, this isn't really one of my top 3 picks that I like. But I am going to give you Washington on a score of 28-24. I think it's going to be a special night tonight in Seattle, and I think Washington gets it done and has the clear shot to the Pac-12 title game. Now, my last college football game I want to preview. Now, this is one of my pick 6. My week 5 pick 6. Okay. So far this week, I've given you my dog of the week is Clemson +2 at home against Louisville. I'm going to give you this Wisconsin-Michigan pick. This game is at 2:30, Michigan-Wisconsin, as the number 4 ranked Michigan Wolverines take on the 8th ranked Badgers. Guys, look, I don't even need to go any further on what this game is all about. This is going to be not the most exciting game to watch. I think there'll be some excitement to it. It's going to be an old-fashioned Big Ten defense, offensive and defensive line type game. So let's break this thing down. Again, it's on ABC at 2:30 tomorrow. So if I look from the Wisconsin side, I see, how are they going to win? Guys, look, they're going to win on their defense. This is Michigan's first time to face a defense that is just really disciplined and tough and hard-nosed. They shut Michigan State down completely last week. But Michigan, they've been cranking up 45 or more the last 4 weeks against the likes of Hawaii, terrible. Central Florida, awful. Colorado, they beat Oregon, but we don't know too much. Their defense is awful too. And they beat Penn State. That's not exactly scaring me. Now, Wisconsin, they're insanely disciplined on that defensive front. They're relentless. They own the backfield, winning every possible battle. This Wisconsin team kept Fournette somewhat in check. I think he had like 101 yards against them. But that's really holding him to check. They've only allowed one rushing score all year. A great defensive front. This is kind of a bend and don't break defense with Wisconsin. That you can get yards on them. What Michigan State wasn't able to last week. But they shut it down. They can frustrate you. They do a great job on third down. It's a typical Wisconsin team. They don't make mistakes. They battle you in field position. They may get a turnover. They're going to hold the ball and let you make the key turnover. That's how this team plays under Paul Chryst. They wait for you to make a turnover, and then they exploit it. Hence, Michigan State dropping a punt last week, losing a key fumble. Wisconsin actually returned the fumble back for a touchdown. Done. Ball game. We all know at LSU, Brandon Harris threw an awful interception. And currently right now, LSU is, they started to reel from that loss. Hopefully, Tigers are going to pick it back up this weekend. But that was one thing that this defense was able to do, is frustrate Brandon Harris and LSU and lured him into a key turnover. Michigan, they're not going to screw up, not beat themselves. But Wisconsin just has a way of forcing turnovers. Michigan's a very disciplined football team. This is a good team in Madison this year, guys. A really good football team. So if Wisconsin's going to win this game, it's going to be forcing Michigan into turnovers. But doing what they did against Michigan State is grabbing an early lead and keeping that crowd out of the game. But it's forcing turnovers, keeping that bend but don't break mentality, and keeping that Michigan running game in check. Now, why Michigan will win? First, they're dynamite at the Big House under Harbaugh. With the exception of that fluke Michigan State loss, this team is always ready to play. The last year in, 3 games. Now, even though Michigan running back Corey Clement is rolling, guy's a stud right now. Wisconsin doesn't have that running game that's unbelievably awesome. They like to grind it out. Not a whole lot of speed at the running back position. They like to keep you off the field. That old school Wisconsin running game when they had Ron Dane. And if Michigan can get an early lead, as I just said, it's key that Wisconsin gets that early lead. If Michigan gets out on top, it could be a long day for Wisconsin. You can forget about that. If Michigan gets up, scores a couple quick touchdowns, because they don't have the receivers that can get downfield, Wisconsin doesn't, to make a massive comeback through the passing game. If it turns into a passing game, Wisconsin's done. Wisconsin's special teams have been average at best. The return game isn't really anything to brag about. The punting has been awful. And I think Michigan's defense is going to come to play. I think there are some holes in this Badger offense you can exploit, which is their passing game, getting pressure on the passer. But Michigan's going to be focused on stopping their running game and force them to pass. I think teams think they can run on Wisconsin, and they're sorely mistaken. And I think what happens is they lull you to sleep, getting you in that running, trying to run the football, and then they get a key turnover, and that's when they get you. But the key here is LSU was ultra-conservative. Michigan State got that way. Michigan is not going to be ultra-conservative. They're going to out-trick this Wisconsin defense. Jake Butt, the tight end, is going to absolutely kill that Badger defense. I think Michigan can come up with a few down the middle, up the seam plays against Wisconsin. I think they get a pick early. I think Wisconsin is running into a Michigan team right now that, yes, haven't played anybody, but they're going to see how good this Michigan team is. Jameson Daigle show pick. Michigan 28, Wisconsin 13. And just to let you know, Michigan is my favorite of the week. So, the pick 6 on the college. We're taking Clemson plus the 2 at home against Louisville. We're taking Michigan minus the 10.5 at home against Wisconsin. And we're taking Georgia plus a 3.5 between the hedges against Tennessee. Those are your 3 picks. Again, Michigan minus the points, Georgia, and Clemson home dogs, with Clemson being my dog of the week. All right, guys, well, it's time to move into what we've all been waiting for. We have been waiting and waiting and waiting for Fantasy Friday. Fantasy Friday, your key to dominating your league. Listening to the Jameson Daigle Show every Friday, 11:30 to 12:30. Get all of your fantasy information. All fantasy information. So let's get down to it. We're going to get you all of your fantasy information so you can go to war this week. Now, the key components here were definitely Le'Veon Bell. What's he going to look like this week? Mike Tomlin says he's fine. He says he's in football shape. Says he's ready to go. We're going to see how ready to go he is. They're playing a really bad Kansas City defense. Now, this Kansas City defense has been bad on the road. They've been pretty solid at home, especially last week. I would definitely have Le'Veon Bell in my starting lineup. I think he's going to get in between 15 to 25 touches. I think he's going to get some touches down in the red zone. And I really think Pittsburgh's going to going to light KC up this weekend. I really